So, my final verdict on this one, I think this is fair. One Wii Remote with Wii Motion Plus up, and one plain Wii Remote up. So, on to the next one. Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition. 3D. Cool, right? I don't see what purpose this box serves, but, well, I guess it serves the purpose of 3D texture, but really? Does it really need all this? I mean, this is kind of crap you see on a cover of a DVD or something. Not a game. So, anyway, let's get ready and Hadouken it and Sonic Boom it into 3D action. Because this is Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition. Now, most of you were skeptical on this idea, myself included, of course, being that this was originally released on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Yeah, it was a great game, and it was even better than the original Street Fighter 4, being that you didn't have to unlock all the characters. And it had bonus stages. Now, those of you who are worried, not to worry at all. This game is still as good as you remember. I mean, come on, it's all animated graphics. There's no doubt that the graphics were amazing. And putting it in 3D was not a bad idea at all. Yep, it did not disappoint. In 3D or not, it still looks fantastic. It even has the Wi-Fi, all the characters, the bonus stages, the voice acting. Everything is all there as you remember. But there are a few minor downsides. Starting with this one, the background. Yeah, you ever noticed it? Like, what happened? Did somebody freeze time in the background? Everything moves in the foreground, your characters and everything looks great. But why can't they get the background to move? I mean, I guess that shows the limitations of Nintendo compared to 360 and PlayStation 3. Well, I wasn't kidding. They can't get all this into this. Not a huge letdown, but I think that's the only letdown in this game, aside from this upside, which can also be a downside as well, the touchscreen. Yeah, I guess it's for anybody who has trouble doing the ultra combos or the super combos or some of the special moves, which can be hard to execute. As you can see, you don't need to do the difficult button combinations. You can simply take the stylus pen out, or as I would do, just use my thumb, and there you go. As soon as you build up enough power to do a super combo or an ultra combo, there you go. You just cheat all you want. Kind of destroys the purpose a little bit of mashing buttons a little bit, don't you think? And it's kind of annoying too, because especially when I'm playing people online, I have no choice but to. I mean, these people are real professionals online. I mean, I get my ass kicked every time. I have trouble doing the special combos, and I know I'm not alone on this. But for those of you who have trouble with these combo moves, this is for you then. It's the only thing I can say. Other than that, yeah, it's a great remake. Despite a few graphical limitations which are pretty noticeable, and I can accept that, it's a pretty great report of the great fighting game. And I would definitely think about checking this one out. Again, whether you're playing it in 3D or not, it still looks pretty cool. You can't lie. So, my final verdict on this one, I think it's fairly deserving of a Wii Remote with Wii Motion Plus up and plain Wii Remote up. Pretty good. So, next game, the classic in 3D, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Does it hold up to its original counterpart classic? Let's check it out. And I'm glad to see that this is the first Zelda game on a DS console that doesn't require the touchscreen. Okay, I take it back. I'm talking about requires the touchscreen to move around. You can actually use the D-pad, or I'm sorry, analog stick. The graphics are just as good as you remember. Remember the N64? How it was more than capable of providing excellent graphics, excellent music, and gameplay? Well, everything that you can possibly remember from that outstanding game is all here in this handheld console, baby. Now, the 3D might be a little too much and a little bit distracting and can cause a little bit of a migraine
And I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but like I said several times, if you feel it's too much, just slide it all the way down. It still looks pretty cool. In fact, I don't think it's really needed in this game. I mean, not to insult any other gamers that enjoy the 3D, it looks cool and everything, but I just feel in this game, it's not really necessary. This is just my opinion, really. I mean, this is the only 3DS game that I mostly don't play in 3D. But don't let that get you down. Just my opinion. I still think it looks pretty damn awesome, though. And the graphics is where it all matters.
There's not really much to say. Everything looks fantastic. In fact, probably even better. It eliminated that bit of a polygonish look to it, which isn't a bad idea. I mean, there's always room for improvement.
However, the gameplay, on the other hand, I believe needs no improvement. I mean, it's like the old saying goes, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. However, they did add, as they call, a mirrored challenging quest. I'm only assuming it's a more challenging version of a second quest, as I've heard, and a lot of Zelda games have this. So it's nothing really new to my knowledge. However, aside from the 3D, I also don't like being required to use a touchscreen to select different weapons. I mean, really? Not that I didn't like the DS versions, getting back to that. I feel as if you should be able to simply press a button, not to have to take the stylus pen out to select a weapon, or to select the Ocarina, and look at basically all your stats and your inventory. Well, I'm not going to get too crazy. Don't let that bring you down. It still works very well. So all I could say is, yes, the gameplay is ported very well. Aside from these small, minor issues, it's still the same Zelda game as any of you will remember from the N64. And for any of you who never got the chance to play this game from the N64, well, here's your chance right here. You can play it at home, or you can play it on the road to go. As many people would call it, the best Zelda game ever made.
So, my final verdict on this game? Overrated? Not at all. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the best remakes of Ocarina of Time I've ever seen, with a little more. But don't let the 3D let you down, or distract you, because it's well deserving of a rockin' to rear remote to Wii Motion Plus baby. It's that good. So, on to the last but not least of my collection, Star Fox 64 in 3D. Yeah, I know, a lot of titles in this, of course, share the title 3D. It's like how many N64 games have the number 64 after the title. This should come as no surprise. So let's pop this puppy in and give her a go. And as you can tell, just like the Ocarina of Time, again, not much has really changed. And like I said, is that a bad thing? No. Only new addition to the game is that you can either stick to the N64 controls, which is what I do, or you can go with the 3DS controls, which is basically the same thing. Only difference is this gives you the option to use what's called gyro controls. Yeah, remember when I said this 3DS handheld has motion sense controls, sort of like the Nintendo Wii? Well, this is the only game so far, aside from Face Raiders, that seems to utilize the motion controls. Yeah, you know, to me, this sort of feels like a failed experiment. Being that it's an interesting concept, it sounds and looks cool, but to me, it's just a bust. It gets to be very frustrating and aggravating, and eventually, after doing this for about a couple of minutes, you would eventually want to simply go back to using the analog stick, which you can use even if you select this option. I mean, what's the point then? You still have to use the buttons and everything to fire the weapons and the laser beams, so what's the point then? I mean, all you're doing is struggling to move around. It was a nice try, but I'm sorry. I just feel Face Raiders, well, it worked out a lot better than this. Basically, just stick to the N64 controls. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. And I know I'll say that a ton of times. But really, there's not much else to complain about otherwise. The bottom touchscreen serves no other purpose aside from when you receive an urgent message from the ship repairman. Usually when they're delivering you a care package, which is necessary considering it has weapons or health or something. It serves no other purpose than for the eyes and ears of hearing and seeing every character on Team Star Fox.
Only one that pisses me off, and I'm sure I'm not alone on this one, is Slippy. Yeah. Seriously, he is the most annoying character I've ever heard in a video game. I mean, what's the point of having him on your team if all he does is whine and complain? Help you? Well, go help yourself, PAB. Yeah, you know, this may be starting to tick you off, but you're starting to piss me off. Jeez. And sometimes I wish you would just freaking die. I mean, there's one part in the game where he goes missing. Why do you have to go after him? What's the point? Let him die. Jeez. I mean, the other characters at least serve their purpose, even though they can be kind of annoying. But this one literally goes beyond irritating. God. Oh, shut the hell up! Shut up! Anyway, yeah. The graphics and everything, as you can clearly see, look incredible. In fact, probably even better than the N64 on some parts. And the 3D, do I really have to get into detail? Okay, well, I'll make it straight and clear. Not really necessarily needed in the game, but still, actually, it looks pretty cool. I mean, especially with the asteroids and all the lasers and stuff. Can't lie, it looks pretty cool, but it's not a requirement. It's all about the graphics, once again, like I said before, with the Ocarina of Time. Now, some improvements that it made over the N64 counterpart, well, not many improvements, and I think that's probably one of the only issues this game has. And being that it cost $40, yeah, really? I really felt it should have been down to about $20. Then I'd say it's about an appropriate price. The only cool new feature in this game is the save feature. Some people may find this to make the game less challenging, being that it's sort of like an arcade shooter. You know, beat it all the way through, no save feature, because the N64 version didn't have that. I think it's pretty necessary. I mean, a lot of times, I'm not going to beat this all the way through, but you can only save one game at a time, not 3 like you say in Mario 3D Land. But once you start a new game, it writes over the other one. Not a big issue. I'm fine with that. And then there's also the battle mode, which has 3 distinctive types of multiplayer games. Unfortunately, it's not supported by Wi-Fi. It's only if you're around somebody who has a 3DS. But you could still play single-player mode against the computers. And to tell you the truth, it's actually pretty addictive. There's 3 different modes. There's survival mode, which is basically last man standing, one shoot kill. And it's basically, to me, it's like a Star Fox Demolition Derby. And then you got 2 other ones, which is basically you can die a limited amount of times, which is based off points. One is without a timer, and one is with a timer. When the time runs out, the person with the most amount of points wins. Simple enough. It's just fun shooting the shit out of other players, even though it's part of the Team Star Fox. Funny. I guess all teammates will turn against each other at one point. Then you also got Score Attack, which is basically redoing and picking any level of your desire, and basically just shooting for high score. And then the Training Mode, which I believe needs no explanation, as you remember it in the N64 counterpart. But otherwise, yeah, I can safely say it's a pretty good remake. Would I say it's butchered horribly? No, just updated a little bit. There's nothing wrong with a couple of updates, graphic-wise and audio-wise. I mean, that's what these up-to-date handheld consoles are useful for. It's just as good as you remember, but a little bit pricey. That's the only problem. Otherwise, it's Star Fox just the way you remember it. Shooting, bombing, going all the way to the end, until you're finished. And that, my friends, concludes the last game of my 3DS collection. In 3D. Okay, now to finally wrap up this review with the last game out of my collection, my final verdict on Star Fox 64 in 3D. Yeah, don't take this the wrong way, I just feel this is the review it deserves. Just a plain Tui remotes up, yeah. Don't take it offensively, it's still a good remake, but because of the price, I think that set it back a little bit. But not a bad remake whatsoever.
best game of my 3DS collection. I know what you're gonna say. Yes, buy more games. There's more games out right now. Yeah, I still have yet more to get. And Christ, I mean, how much more money and how many more games can I really get? Don't worry, I will get more games on my 3DS collection. Possibly either Mario Kart 7 or the new Resident Evil. And hopefully, with a lot of hype on the new Kid Icarus Uprising, I'll maybe check into that one. I wasn't a big fan on Kid Icarus on the NES, considering that game was, well, frustratingly difficult. But hopefully this new one won't be a letdown. So, until next time, happy gaming, keep watching.
Get over here!